Hero Club presents Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu. Welcome to the 60th episode of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu. I am one of your co-creators and original hosts of this show, Wheelchair 20 frickin' 1. And on our 60th episode, we actually do have a majority of the cast here. We also have technically the original tertiary member of the cast who was there the night, I guess you would say my co-host, Project RDM, my partner in crime who's not here tonight, coined the title for our show. It is none other than everyone's favorite member. I would say everyone's favorite member, or at least second favorite, since they're both tied with each other, have the same name, and have their own spin-off podcast coming. Janitor Joker, first off.
Oh shit, that actually succeeded? Holy shit. Oh my god.
I know, right?
I know what this means.
I had no idea we got picked up. Oh, I thought that was just a pilot.
Yeah.
I don't know.
NBC
I mean, but at this point, I'm pretty sure we got picked up because technically the episode will have aired beforehand. I'm in charge of the editing, and you guys are in charge of the hosting of the show. And then I just upload it to YouTube, and if people watch it, they watch it. That's their problem.
I just hope it doesn't end up like Firefly.
Nothing.
Like Firefly,
Yeah, I was gonna say. Nothing on Hero Club will end up like Firefly. Nothing will end up.
Nick podcast.
We'll probably get a Cartoon Network ending where it's like, well, your show ended and you kind of had a finale, so live with that and forget about any plot threads that were left behind.
And as I was saying,
basically just like Doctor Who.
And as I was trying to say, like I said, we have Janitor Joker, who is technically one of the all-time favorite members of the show, plus the other all-time favorite, like I said, who also shares the same name of him, Sound Out, who, was cordially introduced via, Janitor Joker there.
Indeed, I have been cordially introduced.
Yes, yes, true. So you have 3 of your 4 main members, and then you have our occasional just news analyst who normally is only here for the first half of the show, but on a few occasions is here for the full show, the Metal Ninja.
Yeah, because I'm not important enough to be here for every show.
It's not that he's not important enough, it's more like he can't stay up late enough.
I thought it was the cannibalism, honestly.
I thought it was that he was such a special guest star that by having him on every week, it would diminish the excitement of him being on the podcast.
I mean,
no, that's really Alex.
Like
that's Alex.
Bloodstark. That's Bloodstark.
So wait, is Metal Bloodstark or is Alex Bloodstark?
Both. We don't want them on too much.
Darkon was Bloodstark on Skype for like several months.
But that's another story. Dun dun dun. So, for our plot twist that the dog starts barking. He knew the lit list was coming. So for our lit list tonight, we're going to be talking about 2 pieces of news. First off, we're going to be talking about Super Mini-Pla Galaxy Mega Delta Mega Set. We are then going to be talking about S.H.Figuarts Kamen Rider Gio and Gates. Then we're going to have a discussion on fan subbing, official subs, and whatnot. And to close out the show, we thought, let's go look at that awesome live-action adaptation for a manga/anime series that features many members of the Kamen Rider Fourze cast. When I mean many, I just mean 3 writers from the show. It is none other than Bleach.
Naruto. Oh.
Wait. That was adapted that wasn't an original work?
Nothing's original these days.
Except for
Bleach was adapted? How is that possible?
Drugs. You know the drugs that made Shider? Yeah, that's what happened.
I was gonna say, those drugs were what made Attack on Titan the live action.
No, that was just failure.
No, drugs is what got us live action Devilman. Oh god.
Oh no.
Why?
Hermaphrodites.
No, that wasn't even the problem. Actually, they didn't have any hermaphrodites. That was part of the problem.
Yeah, see? Can't make any porn from that, can you sick fucks?
No, the problem with the Devilman is the Devilman live action movie is that it left the last 2 people on Earth to be a 25-year-old woman and a 10-year-old boy, and I guess the implication was that they were going to try to repopulate the Earth.
Ah, the old Barbra Streisand effect, I see. Did she even have sex with a kid? I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about. We're going to move on.
Student-teacher relationship. Oh, speaking of which, that happened to my high school. Anyway,
Anyway.
Alright, so first off, we're gonna go right into our news, which is, like I said, the Super Mini-Pla release for Galaxy Mega Delta Mega. Now, going into this, several fans did not expect for this to actually be, like, kind of a deluxe gift set. In that case,
I could have swore Delta Mega would have been exclusive.
I thought so too. I thought it was either going to be exclusive standalone or exclusive with the actual Galaxy Mega. However, they are retail, but you can probably buy them in Japan separately for 3,200 yen a piece. The full retail set is 6912. And the interesting thing about that is we still don't know if Bluefin Tamashii or Bandai Namco Collectibles will be distributing this set come spring of 2019, because this will be releasing in January 2019, but usually when it comes to a American distribution, it's usually 2 to 3 months in advance. So I'm gonna go to Visible Ninja since he's heavy breathing on his microphone. What's your thoughts on this awesome 2-pack?
Well, I mean, yeah, of course I'm heavy breathing. You know, I'm so excited by
His
this
body
2-pack.
is ready. His body is ready.
My body is ready for this 2-pack. But yeah, I got to admit this Super Mini-Pla just looks. It just looks awesome. I'll be honest, and because you do get Galaxy and Delta, that's words cannot describe how awesome.
No
this
words
set
that
is.
can put it into clarity. Here we go to Mega.
Yeah, but like I said, this is just awesome. Just yes, I love this.
Hey, you know what the best part of having this and being able to form Super Galaxy Mega or Astro Delta Megazord is whenever we get the Hasbro Lightning Collection Darkonda, hopefully we get the Super Darkonda, I can put them up against each other and fight to the death.
Yay!
Mm.
And it's just like, god damn it, Wheels is going to keep going on about Darkonda till we get it, and he's right. So I'm going to throw this over to Sound Out.
Okay, I'm going to keep going on about Real Grade Fenix until I get it.
Exactly. So, Sound Out, get your thoughts on model kits since you know Real Grade Fenix that you're never going to get.
Super Mini-Pla looks pretty cool. Wish they were real grades, but I definitely am looking at these from a different perspective because I really like these designs. Also, it makes sense, I think, that they're a set because they are single-piece mecha each. So.
Actually, no. Galaxy Mega's a 2-piece, but shh.
No, he's just a headmaster.
He's just a head. Yeah, it's just his Titan Master.
No, it's just a fetus. A ship fetus.
A ship. God dang it. I'm going to call that now a ship fetus. When I get it, ship fetus.
Anyways, where's the sword? It's hanging in the pictures.
It's weird because, what was it, at the actual...
Kids will choke on it.
What's weird is, what was it, on the actual toy shows, they show the prototype with the sword, but the actual official images are like, what sword? Is there a sword? I don't recall a sword.
Never heard of a sword.
The sword's a pre-order bonus for Mega Voyager.
It's actually DLC.
Oh.
Which is appropriate for the video game theme of Mega Ranger.
Yeah, see? It was all a dastardly ploy by Bandai.
Damn you, Bandai Namco!
Do you guys think that Mega Voyager and Mega Winger are just going to be in a set together? Because that'd be pretty cool.
I would be so happy if they did that, even if it was, P Bandai, because they'll release it in America most likely, or maybe. But, like, I mean, that would be a good, solid plan, because...
P Bandai Silver Titanus?
Oh, get out of here. Get out.
Dude, come on, man. Don't you remember that character in Mega Ranger?
No, but I remember him showing up in the Super Sentai freaking book for the mechas when they actually were like, hey, look at these toys that America released based on our designs.
That one page where they're like, look what America did. Except we're going to ignore the
retards.
ones that they did do that were terrible.
Yeah, no, but like with this set, I'm like so excited. One, it'll be a cool thing they announced later on for this Mini-Pla set to have is the actual steel girder frame that you actually see in the show around the mechas when they're in standby mode out in orbit. You remember that, right? Where they were like docked together.
Yes.
I would actually love if they. I would love if they did that.
That's how you get the sword.
No, you know what'd be interesting is if they do Mega Voyager by itself, but then put the docking system with Mega Winger, and that's how they try to sell them separately. Or they put one half with Mega Voyager, one half with Mega Winger. I'm giving them too much fire. This is gonna end bad for everyone and their wallets. Anyways, though, the next piece of news we're gonna be talking about is Bandai Tamashii or Tamashii Nations, whatever you would prefer to call them, has unveiled that they will be adding Kamen Rider Geo and Gades to the S.H.Figuarts line just in time to celebrate the 20 Rider Kicks edition. So that means they'll actually come with the Ride Watch Tamashii stages. Now, Geo will be sold in February for around 3,000 yen, whereas Gates is around 5,400 yen, and he's March 2019. So they're going to push these out real fast, as well as the site even teases that they're finally probably doing Kiva. Finally, you know.
I mean, considering there's those stand packs and one of them says secret on it, and we know it's not Decade because the Ride Watch would be a different shape. Just saying.
It's going to be the ultimate plot twist, Hibiki.
No. The real plot twist. It's just, another freaking
It's Oma.
stage.
It's Oma
No.
Zio.
Yeah, it's Oma Zio, or the other plot twist is that it's actually just like, oh yeah, here is Ixa 2.0. And everyone's just gonna be like, why?
No, that'd
Why?
be even funnier. Non-Seiho Hibiki.
Non-Seiho Hibiki. That would actually be a surprise.
That'd be hilarious.
Alright, so Visible Ninja, you got any thoughts on some Figuarts? No?
Okay. Personally, for Geo and Gates, there's not a whole lot to them. They look good, but that's more down to the suit design. It is kind of disappointing that they do seem to have cheaped out a bit, since they apparently don't really come with jack and shit. So, kind of disappointing. I know, like I said, it's they're throwing them in with all the reissues and the Ride Watch stand things and everything. I don't know, but they feel kind of lacking for somehow. And oh yeah, it's about goddamn time we're probably getting Kiva. So,
It's probably a Seiho.
hopefully.
Hopefully, because I would like a realistic sort of, plastered chain or whatnot on his foot. Alright, so sound out your shot.
Bandai, please step up your game with Rider Figuarts. This is sad and pathetic. I don't want to be super negative about this, but legitimately speaking, I'm getting tired of the trend of buy a bike to get weapons, because I feel like that's exactly what's going to happen here. Is we're going to have the bike include the weapons, the GQ blade and the GQ axe, and just I have no interest in these figures because, first of all, I don't like the characters in the show that much. Secondly, thanks for the lower prices, but the sacrifice is not a good trade-off, because I got the build Figuart last year when he was 2,500 and he didn't have a weapon, and I was okay with it because he came with enough hands. But Geo comes with less hands, has unpainted rider watches that make it look like a budget figure, and really weird body proportions. And then Gaze is oh, well, I'm 2,400 yen more, and all I come with are 2 stands. And that's kind of sad and pathetic.
Hey, in JoJo, getting a stand for an extra $25 would be a good deal, but here, not so much.
No, not much. Especially when the stands are the same, and it's just the cardboard insert, and then you can buy
Hey, let's not talk about the main villain of Part 5 yet. I mean, that hasn't even released yet. JoJo jokes, the only ones I know.
The only ones Mucha gets. God damn it. Go on, sound out if you have any more.
Anyways, in conclusion, it's just even the 20th Rider Kicks figures have way more accessories than these guys, and they basically cost the same. So it's really kind of sad and pathetic, honestly. I think that when Bandai did a good job of lowering the budget figures prices by shrinking the size a bit, and they started including extra hands in addition to their weapons plus their armor gimmick, and it makes those so much more of a better deal than these Figuarts. These Figuarts don't look like they're that much of an improvement over the budget figures. And really, I don't know how well they're gonna sell with just so minimal accessories. Because really, when you look at it, Geo in the series is always using the GQ sword gun, a lot, and the Gaze is always using the GQ axe. So the fact that they're both missing their weapons is super lame. It's super lame.
Yeah, no, I saw that and I thought it was really ridiculous. I get where you're coming from with Build. Having, the extra hands was a good thing, at least.
Oh, also, Build's driver was fully painted.
Yeah, that's true, because with this one, there's some paint missing on the accessories and details.
Really intricate. The fact, I think that if they weren't going to have the weapons, I don't get why the hell the ride watches are unpainted. Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, so you're cutting weapons to cut costs, but did we really have, like, figure prices go up in a year to the point where we can't have, like, actually, well-detailed, like, accessory pieces like that? Like, I don't know. It just feels like a huge downgrade.
All right. Anyways,
That
Mucha, you got anything to say about Figuarts? Anything? Nothing?
No, because I'm a poor man who lives in a poor world. And I also forgot what we were talking about, so,
Just like the story of Gio, you're gonna forget about the powers you get.
Yep. I forgot about those things.
So yeah, that concludes our little bit of news that we wanted to highlight on this episode. Now, there might be more news that have came out during the time, but we're trying to do these like one-shot episodes where, we're one and done and not too much editing has to be required, stitching together all the news with our awesome discussions. So, like we said at the opening of our show, which was like roughly 18 minutes ago, 17 minutes ago.
5 years ago. Right?
5 years. Yeah, 5 years ago for the Geo time. We're going to be talking about fan subbing first and official subs, whether it be anime and tokusatsu, because pretty much if you're translating from Japanese to English, it's practically the same thing, no matter what. It's just two different groups, and that's going to be one of the issues or pros and cons that we'll be discussing about when we approach the scenario of the difference between official releases, fan releases, and the overall issue or community that comes with the fan subbing, I guess, genre, or the fan subbing service. I guess we'd say the service rather than the genre. So, we've been talking about this a little bit off and on for months and years now, and we just wanted to actually finally approach it. And I don't even know what gave me the idea to do it. I think it had something to do with like stuff that I'd seen on Twitter, or it was another thing. Because I know I did address something in pre-production that did happen on Twitter regarding fan subs and official subs. But there was like another thing that caused me to like be like, hey, SoundOut, you want to talk about this? And then SoundOut was like, yeah, let's effing do this. But as I'm gonna say this, as Mucha said, Geo happened, and I'm forgetting stuff because they're stealing my powers. Oh no, they got my power. Where's Pharaoh Man?
I don't know why they would want a crippled watch though, but like I imagine Wheels' watch would have like one leg or one hand.
One hand.
And it doesn't really tell time. Yeah, one hand. Like how clocks have hands. And we have
no, but you're like one leg, and I'll like give you one hand.
It doesn't tell time all that good. In fact, it breaks a lot.
But, okay, so guys, since we're going to be talking about fan subs and official subs, where should we truly begin about this? Should we just talk about the tokusatsu aspect, or should we just address it as all? Because I feel like it's just going to...
If we address it as all, then everybody's going to hate us.
I mean, we might as well, because we are going to talk about a live-action anime movie featuring tokusatsu actors in, like,
I mean, technically, the anime movie would be considered tokusatsu, because it's special
Exactly, because it's special effects. So, I guess SoundOut, you might want to start since you probably have a TED Talk planned for this one.
Alright, I have three, but which one do you want?
I want the PowerPoint.
Just go. Get the PowerPoint. Get your Excel going, and
get your
us into the
popcorn ready as I read off my top 10 list of 10 things Miles Morales can do that Spider-Man can't.
Okay, so first of all, Miles
Number
Morales,
one,
Spider-Man. Second, first thing about fan subs. We're gonna just jump into the thick of this. I think with fan subs in Toku, our biggest problem as a community is that no one wants to work with each other when it comes to fan subbing things. At this point in our lives of Toku fan subs, I've gotten very tired of seeing a new subgroup start up and start working on Kuga, or another subgroup starts working on the weekly Rider show or the weekly Sentai show, or oh hey, guess what? That movie that's been subbed 3 times already, let's do that one again. How about, like, people broaden their horizons a bit? There's a bunch of Sentai shows that aren't fully subbed that people end up starting and then dropping because of various reasons. And we're very, very close to having every single Rider show done, but no one's working on Sky Rider, so that's always going to be like a big roadblock because everyone seems to kind of pretend that Kit Subs is still working on it. Which
I was gonna make a joke here. How can you say there's a roadblock if his name is Sky Rider? He can just go over the block.
He can't because no one wants to help him fly. And
Also,
so that kind of like is my biggest problem with fan subs is that there's like an effort made to sub shows, but I see more and more people just scrubbing other shows or resubbing other shows because they didn't like the way that person subbed it. And it's like, well, what if you actually did a different show instead? And there seems to be kind of like a weird ego trip war happening between subgroups, where there's like some groups that are like, oh, well, this group, they subbed this show, but I don't like the people that worked on it, so I'm going to sub the show. And at the end of the day, we still don't have full Blu-ray rips of Kugo subs, so
I heard they got taken down, like their website got like taken down. So
the
they stopped.
point is that we have 9 subgroups that have worked on Kuga at some point, 1 that actually finished it, and it's in the VHS tape quality.
And they went back to, do it on Blu-ray, and they got up to episode 30, and then somehow they got taken down.
Yes, but nobody ever wants to help each other in this.
This is what I'm going to branch off of, because this is an issue that we've been having for years. Was Visible Ninja and Mucha can back me up, because we were probably watching it before 2009, 2009. Was that you had Hong Kong subs, you had official like releases for that weren't just Hong Kong subs, like they were actual official releases for the other Asian cultures that weren't like there was a weird thing where like there'd be official subs, then there'd be Hong Kong subs. The Hong Kong subs you could always tell because they always use base yellow, and like they were always missing stuff. Or they'd be like sometimes using the American phrases, because Hong Kong subs sometimes meant really Korean subs and whatnot. And then there were other subs.
I remember like one of them was like Hurricane versus Abra Ranger, and they called Shuriken like Water Ranger or something like that.
Yeah, no, like there were some subs out there that were bad, then there were ones that were actually good, and then there were like groups of fan subs that like I don't even know if they exist anymore that did like some of the Metal Heroes, and like they were practically all complete because you could see them on DT Kingdom. Some of them were the DVD release, some of them were the Hong Kong releases, some of them were fan subs and whatnot. And after the whole copyright thing where Mega got taken down and episodes were scrubbed and lost, one of the things that became a real issue was that so many people. And this is where I get annoyed with a lot of the weird Toei, the Toei consensus of where people only watch Sentai or Rider, or they only watch Toei shows, where they wouldn't go back and start working on the shows that we lost during the massive the fall, of DT Kingdom Mega Upload. They were like let's just keep subbing, Shinkenger, let's just keep subbing Go Under, let's just go back and scrub TV Nihon.
As popular as Rider and Sentai, especially Rider is in this community, I am shocked we don't have all of Rider sub by now.
But what I wanted to say is that when it comes to like the shows, there were a lot of weird niches where they only focused on Sentai and Rider, and they didn't go back past like Jetman for Sentai, and when it came to Rider, they rarely went past Black, and that was almost for like 5 long years. So say like 2010, 2012, we didn't get anyone really going back and doing those for almost 4 years, and it was getting really redundant and really ridiculous. I also saw that being an issue with, say, Ultraman, where we had Ultraman subgroups that subbed like Tiga to the current stuff before they got the deal with Crunchyroll or Toku HD, but they wouldn't go back and go and sub anything that wasn't, like Jack, Ace, Ultra Q before it got licensed, Taro, or like even the Metal Heroes. People would just like pick it up and drop it. And some of it was, this translator didn't like this quality timer, or they didn't like this encoder, so they left and went to another group, or they went and founded another group. And it was like this weird thing of like inner struggles and politicking and issues where they were just devolving, where I see all these people who do like animes for like the bigger the name in anime, usually the longer standard of the fan subber. Like, cause like even though there's like 8 or 5 different people who have subbed to Bleach and Naruto, they were like pretty consistent. Where if there was a falling out, the guy completely stopped just fan subbing that show in general. He didn't go to another group. It was either just another group in general that just picked up the mantle and maybe would co-work with, say, another guy that had Bankai in their name, or Zanpakuto Toast subs, or yada yada yada.
What's something I want to bring up in terms of anime fan subbing is that they seem a lot more cordial about things, because like you mentioned, there's a lot for Naruto and Bleach, but then something like Digimon Universe Apply Monsters,
only like 3 guys
subgroups worked on that show. But the thing is that there was 3 subgroups that worked on that show, but it was like it started with one group, and then they lost people, so they were unable to continue. And so another group offered to take it over, so then they took over, and then that group passed it to somebody else. But what they just kept doing was they were just subbing the next episode after whoever left off the previous one, so that way you're not just wasting all this time re-subbing the previous episodes.
Yeah, and then that was an issue I was having with Kamen Rider for like Kamen Rider, Sentai, Ultraman, and Metal Hero from like 2010 to like 2016, 17, was that a lot of the shows I like, there's so many Raws out there. Like there was a person, I think he or she is called Bunny Hat Raws, that had like every Metal Hero uploaded, every like Sentai, every Rider, and was like, here, go download my Raws. You can use them for free. Whoever's Fansubs want to do it, take them, download them, sub them. And everyone was just like, we don't need your stinking Raws. We got a guy giving us the high quality Blu-ray, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, this guy's had it there for months, and you're waiting for a guy to slowly feed you the digitally remasters when you could have at least had a sub in progress before then. Like, that was a thing of redundancy, and that's one of the issues I kind of have.
Redundancy, I think, is exactly how you sum up Toku fansubs in general. There's a lot of redundancy.
I'm gonna throw this over to Metal, because, like, he's been on mute, so, Metal, like, your take, though, on the whole redundancies and team aesthetic or less of teamwork idea.
Okay.
Since you actually were a quality guy for 2 subgroups.
As somebody who actually has worked in a couple groups, because I've worked as a quality assurance guy and as a timer. Let's just say there can be some very big egos in the inner sanctums of these fansub groups. So yeah, and the attitude is, and again, this isn't necessarily the case for all of them, but typically a very adversarial view towards other groups. That it's almost like the attitude is everybody's competing with everybody else, even if you're not subbing the same shows. Or if somebody has started subbing a show that you finished years ago, there's still that feeling of that kind of adversarial, us versus everybody else kind of attitude, which is not the greatest thing to have in any fan community, let alone this one. As well as the fact that the points of pride when it comes to a certain person's translations and such, because I know, I know TVA gets a lot of flack for their quote-unquote half-translated scripts, or how they leave like every other word in Japanese. They're really not as bad as some people make them out to be. As somebody who, like I said, has worked with them in the past, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. I mean, especially nowadays, like, that shit, it isn't half as bad as it used to be back in the beginning, trust me. Or even when I was there, since I wasn't there in the beginning, but I was there.
I got a question for you, Metal.
Yes.
Why do you think there are so many large egos in this, competition sense in something that is just, well, we're subbing the show so people can watch it on the internet?
That's a very good thing. That's a very good question. I think it just comes down to pride in your own product and shitting on somebody else's product. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think it just comes down to that. As, thinking that, your product is superior to all others. I think you guys actually touched on this either before we started recording or just a little bit ago. But yeah, it's the feeling that what you've cranked out is great, it's perfect, and that somebody else feels the need to take a crack at it, either because they want to, because they like the show, or like when a couple years back with the rise of the scrubbers, basically scrubbing through what were essentially like TV Nihon sub translations and cleaning them up, removing a lot of the honorifics that TVN tended to leave in and still do some kind of, and except such like that, like it's almost feeling like that they're violating like your product, or that how dare they think that your product's not good enough and that theirs is.
I do think there is some line to be crossed with the scrubbing thing, because it's like, Well, okay, so you're just tweaking someone else's translation.
Because that's the funny thing, because, like, I remember about the time when the scrubbing thing kind of kicked off, because I think it centered around 4chan, because it was because somebody, if I remember right, wasn't terribly happy with the quality of TV Nihon's Shinkanger subs. You know, because of, like, some of the reasons I put on, like, the whole honorifics thing and leaving some phrases and words in Japanese. Like, somebody wasn't happy with that, so they decided, hey, I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna, clean up this stuff and then put it up. And then, they got a positive thing because, the whole honorific laden Japanese pun retaining style isn't, everybody's cup of tea. And I know that, and I admit that. Then, like it just seems like almost overnight that at least like 3 or 4 scrubbers were popping up like every week, wanting to tackle, either something else that TV Nihon did, or in some cases what like other subgroups had already done and done fairly competently, but just because I don't know, they felt like doing it for funsies, or because like now the Blu-rays or the what have yous were out, and like Wheel said earlier, there was better quality video available now, and they were otherwise fine, but they still felt the need to kind of go through and redo it anyway. It's
because here's the funny thing, like I've seen some anime beefs. I did see like some beefs in the anime community, and sometimes it was over like the big 3 or the big 4.
There are
like I see some, but I never see them get too ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? I never see them get like back in the day of the Order of Zeranos TV Nihon warfare that we used to see, where there were deliberate warfare going on their public forums, on their public comment pages, on their social media accounts, where there was actual warfare,
So, and not to mention the infamous new Toku Nation quote unquote experiment that happened. Which, like, even though I was working for TV On at the time, even I didn't really know the extent of what happened, because I was mostly among the high-end staff. But and just a quick debrief thing, if you're not up on your fan sub beef index, basically during the run of Decade, I can't remember exactly which episode it was, but it was like mid-decade. A new subgroup seemingly popped up that was pretty no-nonsense, pretty straightforward, and they apparently were getting tons of downloads. Only for it to turn out to be a bit of a weird weird experiment by some of the higher-ups at TV Nihon, and again, I can't remember who, because I wasn't privy to that kind of information. And actually, I think I might not have been, I might have moved on as of that time, but it was actually just them testing out to see how well kind of more straightforward, less TVN-y subs would do, and they were supposedly salty that the more straightforward subs were getting downloaded.
Yeah, because didn't that lead to like how Guys got created and Overtime got created inadvertently?
I think so, yeah.
Overtime popped up during Double.
Yeah, no, because I remember Oga said that the guys who were at Guys and the guys at Overtime were actually members of TV Nihon at one time and Order of Zeranos.
Yeah, because, like, at the time, like, it was really, like, TV Nihon was really the only game in town, other than the occasional, like, little pop-up that would show up and do stuff. Like, Order of Zeranos was probably the biggest, like, competitor to TV Nihon at the time. But then they went down the shitter, and that's a story for another day, but...
Thanks, Deca Hero.
Yeah.
So, something that I think should be addressed when it comes to fan subs is that when we talk about, like, sub-stealing, at the end of the day, there is always a risk when you create something, put it on the internet, that someone's going to steal it. And especially when it's a fan sub that you can't take any legal action over because you just made a translation track for a show that hasn't been licensed in country of origin, right?
The whole thing of a thief, isn't going to call the cops on. Like, it's the whole thing of if you steal from a thief, you can count on them not calling the cops on you. Is kind of the whole thing, but
right, because technically speaking, all fan subs exist in a legal gray area when it comes to copyright law. They're not completely legal. They're not technically illegal. They're in a gray area. And so the thing is that when you have fan subs like that, you're stealing from someone that can't do anything about it because they're not technically legal.
Because they're not theirs. Yeah.
All right, so before we move on to, like, just talking about the transition from, the fan subs for Tokusatsu to the official subs, since it has been issues with that. Mucha, what do you want to add to this conversation about, like, the fan sub community and subbers and whatnot?
The fan sub war.
Yeah, the fan sub war, the fan sub community.
Destroy everything. TV Nihon overtime. Destroy them all. No. I think it's just important to remember that these are also people, and that's why probably why there's a lot of egos at the door, because people want to be popular on the internet for some dumb reason. Who knows? It's a great mystery. But I think that desire to be like the recognized name, the brand name of like fan subs, because Tokusatsu is so niche that there's hardly like official subs out there right now. Well, now there is, but back then there was hardly anything. I mean, that's why Kamen Rider Blade was pretty popular here in the West, because it was like one of the first real Tokusatsu shows to be subbed by TV Nihon.
It was subbed weekly too.
Yeah, and it has the infamous "Is Hope Acute," because translations are terrible apparently. People like the dog on TV Nihon for their bad translations and their bad stuff. I mean, TV Nihon's not for me, but I can see why some people would prefer them. They're just not for me.
Yeah, no, like when I started, I didn't trust Order of Xeranos over TV Nihon, but I did take other outlets. Like, we had people like Guys in Spandex or GUSI. We had, Millionfold Curiosity. We've had Mega Beast Empire in the past. We've had Overtime. Like, I like those groups. I really do enjoy those groups, but I'm not.
I think it's because those groups decide to tackle the older stuff, the stuff that.
Yeah, they try to tackle older stuff, or they
should get some credit, even if they kind of fell off the face of the earth. Also, the subgroup that no one talks about is because, they don't have any social media, which is why, Super Zeeg subs. They're on
the Zeeg subs are great.
Those guys are amazing because, like, we don't know who they are. Like, this is, like, I think, like, a great approach to fan subbing, too. We have no idea who works on those. Like, it is a mystery. They don't have a website. They don't have social media. They don't have a blog or anything. They will just, like, for example, like, I think the first thing they did was just drop, like, all 98 episodes of the first Kamen Rider series onto AnyDex. Like, in one night, there was just suddenly a batch torrent of the whole show. And then they showed up and were like, here's Super 1. Here's 5-Man. Like, they've just, like, they end up just dropping shows. Like, I think 5-Man, they, like, staggered it out, but still only took them about a month to release everything. Like, they either work super fast or they work in secret ahead of time and then throw it all out in, like, one big chunk.
Yeah, because ironically, like, I wanted to do a similar thing that Zeeg did and Guys used to, where, like, they would put out huge batches and you wouldn't know about it until someone tweeted about it. Because, like, I even tried to approach people, and I know in the anime community, it's a little bit easier to get into fan subbing if you're an anime fan subber, but for Tokusatsu, everyone's very, I wouldn't say conceited, but they're very introverted, where they won't let any new person in that's willing to do it unless they know you from somebody, like, unless you're a friend of a friend. And it kind of annoyed me, because, like, there's quite a few people who already translate in the community who are willing to do it, and it was like, I was like, oh, hey, I'm really dedicated into wanting to do this, because I know how to time, even though I didn't time on a project. I know timers, too, that can help, and I know quality control guys, and I know encoders. I was like, all I need is a translator, and, like, I got scoffed at on social media when I was like, hey, I wanted to do B-Fighter before anyone actually openly came out and stated, oh, we're working on B-Fighter, we're up to episode, like, 5 right now, so you don't have to worry about it. But it was like, I was trying to say, okay, then let me get somebody who can maybe help out, and we'll do Kabuto, or we'll go back and do some animes that only were subbed by one group. And because the thing is, it wasn't that I didn't know who these subbers were that I was willing to do it. It was just that I wanted my own copy, because the people didn't go on to do the second series. So it was like, why just go and do the second series, which was shorter, and not just have a full, torrent where people can get the first series with the second series, like Metabots and Metabots Damashi. Like, I knew someone did do Metabots, but I was like, why don't we just do it for the lols and do our own version, and then throw in, Damashi, and then you'll get 2-in-1, where the other guys just stopped at Metabots,
I think that's a good side note to take, is that fan subs for older shows, releasing them one episode at a time, I think just probably drains people a little bit. For whatever reason, I've noticed this happen a lot with a lot of groups. For example, Turbo Ranger's a show that's had like 4 different people try to sub it, but no one's ever gotten past episode 10. And it's because everyone like piecemeals it out one episode at a time. I know Grown Ups Spandex was working on a bunch of shows, and they just kind of like take a year off at a time. And so like they're working on stuff randomly. But then also like they're continuing their Changeman subs while Zig already finished the Changeman subs in the gap between releases from them, which I guess I kind of see that it's like you want to finish what you started. But anyways, I think with like releasing in large batches of episodes, or like waiting till you finish the project or get halfway to know that you're dedicated to it before releasing it, kind of just helps the community better. Because like I just have this drive of like somebody subbed at least one episode of every Sentai show, but you know I got 36 episodes of Dynaman, but not the rest. Like I got 10 episodes of Turbo Ranger, but not the rest. So it just kind of leads to a lot of like, well, you lose faith in a fan subgroup when they release like 5 episodes because they're super excited, and then they just drop off the face of the planet for a year and then release episode 6. You know, it's like, I think that it would really help if more groups did the let's kind of get most of the show done and put out bigger batches so that people know that we're going to have
exactly
their release.
Because I was going to mention that because I think that like the difference between like the older shows and like the newer stuff now is that because everything's weekly, people just expect a weekly episode. But because you got the older shows in full, it's just much easier just to do the subbing in full rather than just a weekly release of the episodes. But I get why they do it, because they just want to, you know, take their time with the process. But
I mean, you know, like for me, like if someone, like here's the thing, if we edit this episode and put it up and spread awareness, if someone was willing to want to come in and literally help us translate, like say Go Nagai's Marionette Tokusatsu X Bomber, like I'd be willing to do like the full thing, like either in a batch of a half of the show or all the show at once. Like if they were willing to get us the scripts and then do that, that'd be great. Now some of the weird fans translators, like the subbers, like the ones that actually do the translations, there are people in the community that are forcing the fan subbers to like pay them, and that's why they had to open up, you know, those donation boxes, was because they were licensing real translators to do it for them. That's one of the things I heard too. Is that
that's not legal?
That's not legal.
That's not legal. That's not okay.
Like, because I remember, because there was this one guy who straight up said, "Oh, I'll help you fan sub" one time to some guy I saw on social media, but you got to pay me $10 a script, and I was like, "This is fan subbing. You don't get paid in fan subbing."
No, because no money's being made off this. Because the second money's made off of it, that makes the fan sub illegal.
Yeah.
Like fan subs have to be free to stay in that gray zone. Because the second they start charging for them, that becomes an illegal bootleg.
Yeah.
Yeah, like here's the funny thing. Like if you're giving donations for them to host like the website or the browser where they're putting it at, like, you know, like having the website, because I think there's a donation box on TBN just so they can run the forum. That makes sense. But like if someone ousted them saying, "Oh no, that money goes to pay for, you know, whoever's their head translator to translate," then yeah, that's effed up. But their donation is for
basically it's
actual website.
It's much easier legal wise is to say we're just paying for the server to stay up, not the actual thing.
Yeah, like I know the people at TV Nihon, and for what I know, they don't do that shit. They don't take the money for themselves. They put it for the domain.
Yeah,
but there were
because they don't they don't post on any Dex or Nia or anything like that. They don't post soft subs. They're hard subbed. You get it from our site kind of thing because they're very protective of the subs they do.
Yeah, there's other people. No, there's other people though that I've known done that in the anime community, where like their translator, they had to actually pay them to sub it, but the rest of the people working on the project were all free, so they were paying out of their pocket to a translator to translate it for them to then put up on for free.
By the way, I just want to like piggyback off your X Bomber thing. If anyone wants to finish Skyrider, I'm not even thinking of us like doing all of Skyrider, but just pick up where Kit Subs left off and just run the rest of that thing. Because once the masked subbers finish X, we could have every Rider show done.
Yeah, no, that was kind of my kickoff point. Was X Bomber was our trial to see if you wanted to work with us and liked who we were, and then go right to Skyrider, because it was like, let's do the one show no one really expects us to do, then do something they want us to do.
And Kid Subs is doing a pretty good thing, but then they put Skyrider on hold to work on Original Rider. They put Akamizer 3 on hold to work on Original Rider, and they just no one's heard from them in over a year. And so at this point, I'm just like, Original Rider subbed. Like, we don't need to worry about that. But like, if we could finish Skyrider and just say like, all right, if you want to see the first batch of episodes, here they are from Kit Subs. Maybe we'll go back.
Okay, no. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. The reason why I'm going to bring this up, because Invisible Ninja was there when I was planning this, was that the idea was, if we did Go Nagai's X-Bomber first, it's a project not many people are expecting to get fully, subbed, and if we were able to provide it, that's great. And for our first project, we would be able to experiment and figure out what is the best way to sub. Because I don't want to approach, like, a big-name mainstream tokusatsu show, like, say, Skyrider, a Kamen Rider series, or an Ultraman series, and have it be our first project, and get torn a new asshole in the subbing community for just trying, I'd rather be like, hey, we got one title under our belt, or we got part of a title under our belt. Did you like what we do? Because then we can go and do this show. That was like my mentality was, let's do some shows people aren't expecting. If we get some good feedback, then we know we can go further, instead of just going, hey, let's just jump in the deep end. But nevertheless, though, one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this, though, was there is a huge shitstorm when it comes to when fan subs, like shows that are fan subs, get licensed. And people get mad. Because me and Mooch, I think, talked about this on an earlier episode when Mega Ranger got licensed.
Yeah, when Mega Ranger got licensed.
And I know Visible Ninja wasn't on that episode, but he was with us during the pre-planning. So when it comes to, I'm going to pass it off to him first in just a moment, but when it comes to fan subs, once they get licensed, they have to take it down. Now, some people do illegally re-upload other people's fan subs that they saved themselves back up for torrents later. Or
rip the DVDs and they upload those illegally. That's not cool.
Yeah, or upload the DVDs illegally, and that's not necessarily cool either. But when a fan sub gets licensed, they take it down out of the courtesy of the respect of, okay, the show is licensed, the entire series is being released, and I can get sued, but at the same time, I'm taking it down because I'm expecting my fans to go out there and
it's supporting the official
support
release.
The official release. Now,
it's like when every Team Force every time they release an abridged episode, so you support the official release.
Yeah, no, like, here's the thing. You can still keep...
By the way, I do want to put this out here before we get too far into this topic. I understand that in the UK, the Sentai DVDs aren't distributed there. They're not released there. Do what you do to find the shows in that regard, but if you're in, a lot of these subgroups are based in America, and they cannot release fan subs in America because that is violating the license that is owned for American distribution. Now, UK, other countries in Europe, that's a different story. I do not live there. I do not know the specifics of the copyright laws there. But as always, people be safe.
If you're from the UK,
understand sentiment. There are people that get mad when they hear, "Oh, support the official release." Some people can't because it literally doesn't exist for official release.
This is where if they can't support the official release, then starting your own fan sub groups and stop relying on North Americans for it.
There's that too, but that's just what I'm going to say on that topic. When we're saying support the official release, we're really meaning if it's available in your country legally and officially, support that. Because if you are supporting illegal uploads or fan subs after something is officially licensed and is still currently an active license, that is breaking copyright law that can get you in trouble as well. So just keep yourself safe and, again, support official.
Okay, yeah. You're being redundant now, sound out. But yeah, no. But
always wear a condom.
Yeah, but what I want to say is you can.
But being redundant is part of being a Toku fan.
No, stop that. Stop that.
I thought that was part of
that's just working at Toei for Kamen Rider.
Yeah. Moving on.
Okay, no, as I was trying to say though, you can still keep your fan subs and have the official release too, because nothing's stopping you from owning a digital copy.
The thing is that if you download the fan subs before the official release came out, that's already been done. That's it. But
you also download them before the actual people who made them take them down. That's fine too, because they usually give you like a month's notice that you have only a month or a week. Like after they get the official license, they're like, okay, we're keeping them up for a week or we're keeping it up for a month. We officially notified blah 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 that we will be taking it down before the actual physical release hits street date, and then bam, you have that much time to get it. So get it when you got it. But I want to just go over to Visible Ninja on what's his thoughts on the whole context of, when it goes to fan sub to official release, and his thoughts on, what we've gotten thus far before myself, Sound Out, and Mucha talk about the actual transition to official releases. All right.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Is ultimately fansubbers are just covering their own butts, which is perfectly understandable once something's licensed. Like, there are some instances where something is licensed and then later goes out of print or isn't renewed, in which case that they might be uploaded. In that case,
that's just Kamen Rider the First. Kamen Rider the First is no longer licensed.
Yeah, because...
Or Ultraman Tiga.
Yeah, because they were, like, Kamen Rider the First was licensed by Media Blasters and put out on DVD in North America as Master Rider the First. Though, obvious that went out of print, and obviously they... we're just assuming they no longer have the license because it has never been reprinted or ever talked about ever again. So
yeah, the fact that it's not like companies will come out and say usually, I mean, with anime a lot, they're like, well, we lost this license, this is going out of print. But yeah, once something's out of print and it doesn't come back, then that's the sign that the license
it's pretty much gone unless somebody else picks up the license. Like, they'll announce that. But so there are instances where that does happen. And like I said, and I also understand the argument of people who live outside of North America, because the Western Tokusatsu fandom is very American-centric. That just makes sense because of Power Rangers and just the concentration of fans and everything. Like, yeah, like, there are quote-unquote Western fans, like, all over, like, in Europe. Like I live in Canada, and there's others down in South America, and I guess Australia you could technically consider Western, but like, and I get the whole thing, and I know that's a sticky thing, which is why I'm not really going to talk about it. But yeah, like, we've seen people getting salty, like with the Shout Factory boxes, which I think it was Die Ranger or Kaku Ranger when that was officially announced, and I think it was Grown Ups in Spandex announced that they would be taking them down for licensing reasons. Like, I think one or two people threw a shit fit over it, over because of the Jew Ranger subs and how they weren't how they weren't up to standard or anything like that. But when it comes down to it, like Sound Out said, support it if you can. If it's not available in your country, then, well, like I said, maybe
don't forget there's the weird issue of there's people who don't actually effing torrent. They go to places like Kiss Asia, or they watch it on a Facebook
actually
page.
Download it, they stream it through sites like that. So,
like, other illegal means.
By the way, just so everyone knows this, as another general statement, Kiss Asian is a popular way for people to watch Toku. I wish people would stop that, because that website actually is a pirating website. They pirate licensed content as well as unlicensed content.
Yeah.
And they upload fan subs without permission from the fan sub groups too. That's not a good source. That is a very
and
it's a very sketchy website.
I'll admit I have used it in the past, but that was really only because when it comes to certain shows that are very difficult to find fan subs for now after Mega Upload, died and the file share apocalypse happened, where a good chunk of like sub series just disappeared into the ether, or series that had RAWs readily available. Like, I know one was Sekai Ninja Sen Jiraiya. Because before that, you could very easily get the RAWs off of, somebody uploaded it to Mega Upload. But after that, it was significantly harder, and it's only, recently become, easier to find, like, more obscure series like that in RAW form. But long story short, fansubbers do it because they don't want to get sued up the asshole, because, like Sound Out said, they are in the gray area. If you don't like it, well, like we said, support the official release if you can. If not, well, maybe either import or start up your own little group, maybe.
Well, that's one of the problems that someone had.
Go, Mucha.
Because when the official releases came out, some people in the fan subbing community were angry. I forget what the comment was specifically, but they just said, like, how can fan subbers, like, survive and something like that.
Like, the thing is, fansubbers don't really
Can
survive in the
fansubbers
first
survive?
place.
Like, this is the thing, is like, how can fansubbers survive is a weird question, because fansubs exist to create subtitles for fans so we all can enjoy these shows that otherwise aren't available. If every single toku on the planet is available legally, I don't see that as a bad thing.
If every single toku was legally available and, just we can be able to get it, then I don't think people would be complaining. Like, the only reason that the fansubbing thing happened in the tokusatsu community was because it's so hard to find the stuff.
Yeah, and then there's that stupid entitlement of, well, I already got it for free, why should I have to go buy it? And it's like...
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Support the official release, you son of a bitch.
It's the classic argument of, why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? And it's the same thing with, like, animes.
I don't know what 50-year-old women have to do with this, Metal, but go on.
I know, but it's the whole thing of, well, if I could either get Fansubs or watch it off somewhere like YouTube or... say more like something like Kiss Anime or
I mean, we've had to use these routes only when something's been so out of print there's no way to purchase it.
That's
Akamizer
kind of a last
3.
resort. It's kind of a last resort because
Old
they
Ishinomori
literally
shows.
exist nowhere else on the internet right now except for Kiss Asia or something like that. But
I'll give you a good example. Z-RAM was at one time officially licensed in North America. Those DVDs are hard to get. I had to go
as well.
Yeah, no, I had to actually look for the official North American English dub for the Z-RAM film that featured Robert Axelrod as a part of the cast, as well as the voice actress.
I'll
for
give
Gatomon.
you another one, Wheels, since I'm a big Godzilla guy. Fighting Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla and Son of Godzilla.
Sound Out exactly knows that issue.
Yeah.
It's a fucking travesty.
Son of Godzilla and Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, they were released back in the day on DVD. And
2004, I think, right?
Yeah, and then the 2014 Godzilla movie came up, and, every company came out of the woodwork and were like, all right, Sony was just like, here, 2-pack Blu-rays of all of our movies. And then, Classic Media's like, look, we reboxed all of our stuff into a DVD set. And then Mini-Pla is like, here's our 2, we're reprinting them on Blu-ray. And then everybody threw all the Godzilla movies into the ring, and we still don't have 2 of them.
The funny thing is, it wasn't just there was another one, but recently it's been released, is The Return of Godzilla, the 84 film.
Kraken Releasing also threw in 4 movies, yeah.
Yeah, that thing was in purgatory because there was an American adaptation of it that had an English cast to it, and that was kind of the big hurdle that the companies had to go through. Because I forget who was in charge of the Godzilla 1985, but that was, I think, one of the reasons why it was just so hard to get Return of Godzilla out on DVD.
I don't think there wasn't even a DVD or anything, but I think it was only released on VHS tape.
Yeah.
So when Kraken Releasing did their DVD and Blu-ray, that was all right, finally, we've had every movie released at one point, but if you've only been collecting the recent releases, you're still missing 2 movies.
Yeah, because Son of Godzilla and Mechagodzilla are I go on Amazon, they're $90 or something like that. 100.
Yeah, and it's weird because Criterion apparently picked up all the Showa films for streaming, but then haven't gone forward with doing any more Blu-rays.
Yeah, no, because they got Son of Godzilla. They got Son of Godzilla on there. And I think they got regular Mechagodzilla too, and Terror of Mechagodzilla, so at least you're good. They got all those.
But that's the thing is, what we have is, well, now we don't have a Blu-ray, and it's maybe are they waiting until next year because we have a new Godzilla movie coming out, and they're just going to be Criterion Collection Godzilla Showa era set? Or
I mean, I wouldn't mind that. I just want to get those 2 damn movies finally.
I want those 2 damn movies too.
And they can get away with it by saying the 65th anniversary.
And here's the thing too with Criterion, if they do Blu-rays for all the Showa films, most of the Showa films we had, Classic Media only did on DVD. So I would not mind buying a whole package that would get me all the movies Classic Media released on Blu-ray plus the 2 I don't have. That would be awesome.
That kind of reminds me of when I was a kid. There was a VHS set.
That VHS set.
Yeah, VHS set that had the Godzilla movies. I forget what all of them were. But
it was practically all of the Showa films, practically all of them, all the way up to 85.
Yeah, it was Godzilla 85, Gigan, Megalon, Son of Godzilla, and I forget the other.
No, there was a few more. There were a few more that were released in a later set.
When you put them together, they would make the poster for Godzilla 1985.
Exactly, and I have 4 of the full set.
Yeah. Yeah, do that. Where's that innovation? I want to enjoy that shit.
Spine art with a connecting picture. I love that, and everything that's how I ended up buying like almost all of Yu-Gi-Oh! English dub on DVD because they just kept putting spine pictures, and I was like, this is really cool, and then I just never watched most of it.
Hey, but anyway, so one of the things that we also want to talk about when it comes to the official release to the fan subs is the other thing is we also noticed in the community is some of the, as Sound Out said earlier, was that there's the soapbox peddler of I'm better, this crap is garbage, and it's mostly because they weren't licensed out.
Their privilege at the door.
Yeah, because we've seen that a bit on social media where sometimes, like we were saying, they cut down the subs to the general concept of what the dialogue is.
Can I give out a perfect example?
Yeah, give out a good example, and then we're going to move on to our final discussion for the episode.
So Millionfold Curiosity subs for Gingaman feature the line, "The legendary blade that pierces the galaxy." The Shout Factory subs featured the legendary sword of the galaxy. They're the same phrase. They basically mean the same thing. There's really no difference, but yet the Millionfold Curiosity people and fans seem to say, like, oh, the Shout Factory sub is dumbing it down. It's not really. It's putting it in less words, so it takes half the time to read. So when you're watching the show, you're not going through so many words because your brain needs to process those things fast so you can enjoy the show and not feel like you're reading a book. Also, like I said, check your privilege at the door means, hey, guess what? These are the official subs. They have to use official terms that Toei decides. Those are the official translations because Toei has to approve any translations that go through. That's how licensing works. So, they may have wanted to do it like that, and Toei said, no, you have to translate like this. It is a basic fundamental thing of your fan subs are what you made, and you can be proud of them, and also say, hey, there's an official release now. That's great.
Yeah, no,
It opens up Super Sentai to a new audience. It broadens the horizons, and it gets us closer to that dream of simulcast Sentai and Rider.
I want to bridge off of that because like I said, I went and talked to a couple of friends that know Japanese that either did translations or they just, they know the language. They haven't translated for anyone. They haven't fan subbed for anyone. But they did say that they understand the standard of why they change it for the official release is because, one, maybe it's the depth of the duration of the dialogue might be a possibility of if there's a QC error, it could end up skipping the line altogether, or it just goes too fast that no one can read it in time. And that has happened, for example, on the Kaku Ranger release, where lines magically appear for a second and then disappear. Originally,
Kaku Ranger had a few issues like that. There was even like an untranslated line at one point.
There were a few issues where, at first, I remember when people addressed it to Brian Ward or other members of Shout Factory that worked on this release, they thought that people were just making shit up, and they realized there was actually a slight manufacturer problem that they didn't know about. Like, there was an actual thing. They first said, oh, it might be just that your player doesn't match the quality of our subs or quality of the frames per second. But then they started testing it and they realized, no, it was actually like a slight miniature manufacturer QC that actually slipped by them. But when I was talking to my friends that knew Japanese, they said the reason why American companies use the 2-cent words is not just because the general joke of the international market thinks that Americans are dumb and are illiterate kind of storyline isn't true. It's they think that by using the 2-second word, the 2-cent word, the cheaper effect and dulling it down a bit, even though you lose the depth of the language if you know Japanese or you know the style of what it's supposed to be even in English, it's to get the general audience to at least know what's going on and be able to get them to be able to understand it if the age range of the show is appropriate. So because Sentai is supposed to be an ages, like all ages kind of show, a family show, that's the reason why these subs even feel lesser, is because you're supposed to be able to have like a kid who's only on the fundamental reading level of like a first grader or a second grader be able to pick up the show and be able to enjoy it with, like, say, their older sibling or their parent. And they were saying for, people our age, we might have an issue with it because we wanted to keep feeling like Tokusatsu is sophisticated and more mature just because the culture seems more mature because of the lost in translation with how American society is to Japanese. And that's really one of the real reasons why it seems blander, because I recently had talked to a friend of mine who didn't know, he knows the difference and the depth of, the cultural significance and differences. And so, like, when he saw some of the Shout Factory subs, he was like, man, this feels kind of lacking. But then again, it's because he lives in, like, Malaysia and also knows Japanese, that to him the quality of the English subs did feel rather lacking of impact, until I had to actually, catch him up to speed by saying it's just for the generalization of that this is supposed to be a show for kids in Japan, so they had to write it as if it was still a kids show for Americans for the subs, while, older, nutbags like us could still enjoy it,
Yeah, definitely. And I think that with like Sentai, it's a show that doesn't need like super complex dialogue. And to this extent, I see people complain about Sentai all the time. No one complains about the Garo subs on Kraken Releasing's Garo Blu-rays. Do you know why?
Because no one wants to buy them.
Nobody pays attention to Garo like they do Sentai. And the Garo fan subs are basically split between Overtime and TV Nihon, and that's it. Like, there's not like 100 competing subgroups out there trying to do Garo. And the official release managed to basically pull off a similar style, but it's kind of a welcome thing because TV Nihon love to use their fancy fonts, which they'd use really, really like old English fonts for like Zaruba and Silva and like all the Makai tools. So it made it really hard for them to actually be, it made it really hard to read the lines, especially since those lines were usually very wordy. So Kraken Releasing's standard yellow text really was kind of a breath of fresh air. Because it's easier to read, it's easier to follow. And I think that if you're making the dialogue too complicated, even for something like Garo, which will have more sophisticated dialogue, it's hard to keep up, especially if you're not a speed reader. Because I noticed this when I watched Toku with my parents, is that I'm a pretty good speed reader, my mom's a pretty good speed reader, my dad's not so good of a speed reader. And so there'll be times when we're watching fan subs for like Lupin Ranger versus Pata Ranger, where I'll have to back it up because he missed a line of dialogue because it ran like all the way across the screen and was like 30 words long. And it's just he couldn't read it in time. And I've not had him have a problem with that with official subs for any of the Sentai stuff he's watched or any of the Garo things I've shown him on official releases. The conciseness, I think, is very, very important.
Well, it's just not just for fan subs, but I took a media course in college because I'm a professional man. But they always say, like, when you're writing a newspaper article, it has to be like be able to be read at like an 8th grade level at least, because they want it to be quick and to the point. Having things go on for like too long, you lose the reader's interest, and you also kind of waste time and space because ink is very valuable for the newspaper industry. I don't know if you know this.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just something like that. But for the fan subbing, it's probably, or the subbing in general, it's just probably the same thing. You want to get to the point. You don't want to have your audience lose interest because they have to read. Because that's one of the reasons why the AVGN, James Rolfe, doesn't really watch subs. He prefers dubs because he doesn't feel like reading.
Now, I'm not going to go into the context of sub or dub tonight, but like we want to just get to the point now, since we've gone on for maybe, I think, 40, 50 minutes on just fan subs and official subs, is that Tokusatsu community, we need more connectivity, more working together, because as me and Visible Ninja have seen in the past, TV Nihon was willing to co-produce certain subs like Daimachin Canon. There were a few others that TV Nihon did, as well as Overtime is done with like other groups, and we need more of a consistent pattern of working together if you want to have an effective show, and if you want to help make it that there are more official releases, that's great and that's fine. For those of you who are not able to support the official release, maybe you need to start doing, I guess you would say Britain English, Brit English subbing, where you add the U's to it, Why don't you just scrub the subs and then put U's in it, and then you can get away by cheating and saying it's British and give your group, a Britishy sounding name like Cup of Tea Tokusatsu.
Make it a very obvious thing that you're a British subgroup. Piggybacking off the can't support the official release, if you're financially unable to support the official release, that's fine. Like, I get that, because it can be expensive to support official releases. But if you say, I can't afford a $40 Sentai box set and then go spend $600 on Toku toys in a month, I think if you just cut something there, you could probably afford that DVD set.
So nevertheless, though, I want to move over to the Bleach, our quick Bleach discussion, because the Bleach live action movie did come out, and
I do
most
think
of
we
us
should
here
return to fan subs in the future.
Yeah, we'll return to fan subs in the future, because, like I said, we went on for like 40, 50 minutes just about it, and some of it was a little redundant, but I do want to get to that before Visible
There's
Ninja
actually
has
a
to go
watch up
Audi
fan
9000. Yeah, but before Visible Ninja has to go at Audi 9000. Let's talk about the Bleach movie. For those who do not know, there is a live-action Bleach movie which is now currently streaming on Netflix. Ooh.
Hooray for official
So wait,
releases that
It's
don't take
official
forever.
release. Oh my god, the official release.
The official release
Now-
can take like 2 years to get here.
Yeah, now, the cool thing about this is the film is actually directed by, I think, the guy who did the live-action Gantz movies, which is Shinsuke Sato. The music is done by the Tokyo Ghoul composer, which is, I'm trying to look for his name right now, Yutaka Yamada. And it starred Sota Fukeshi, Kamen Rider Fourze, also starred Arina Mano, Nadeshiko, as well as our good boy Meteor, who is Ryo Yoshizawa, as well as other cool people and cool cats. But we're going to get to the gist of it. This film, which is almost 2 hours long, like our last episode of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu, actually just features the first main arc of Bleach, which I think was the first 8 volumes of the actual manga from Tite Kubo. And it condenses the story of Ichigo meeting Rukia, having to go fight Grand Fisher, and then eventually battle both Renji as well as Byakuya for the right to let Rukia live before she was then captured and taken into custody and taken back to the Soul Society. And when this movie was allegedly put into production, they were not guaranteed a sequel, but there is the possibility, since there is a hook ending, to try to get you interested in a Soul Society arc sequel, because of just how it just ends, as well as the fact that it's getting critical reception, not just in Japan, but on
It also
Netflix
ended
right
by
now.
giving itself the Chapter 1 title.
Yeah, the
That's
Chapter
like,
1 title. Like, it
it's
gives
like
you the
thing
stinger
that
of,
the recent It movie did. It's like, by the way, we're doing a sequel.
no, like, because it literally has Rukia doing the whole, well, I got captured, I hope Ichigo has a good life, and I'm pretty sure everyone's going to forget about me, I think, and then it goes, Bleach, the Soul Reaper agent arc, and I was like, we're getting a sequel. I was like, no ands, ifs, or buts, we're getting a sequel. So, I want to throw it over to Visible Ninja first, since he's the less talkative of us. What is your opinions on the live-action Bleach film?
All right, I felt it did a really good job condensing the first main, I guess you could say, introductory arc to Bleach. Because, I mean, a lot of the more insane, more shonen-y shit comes later. But I felt they did a really good job. Like, Sota actually made a very good Ichigo Kurosaki, I felt. And our Rukia was actually pretty good, too. I mean, yeah, she didn't have the same hairstyle she does in the manga, but at least she has the same drawing ability, which is always great. But in all, like I said, I thought the action was pretty good. Everything actually came across pretty cool, and I thought that all the actors pretty well filled their roles. I mean, there were some minor changes, like with Tatsuki kind of being, not really so much Ichigo's childhood friend to being a bit more of a typical kind of bitch. Or Ichigo's various friends getting rolled into one guy, Chad not looking like a very out of place, Mexican dude, but like I felt all the actors actually played their roles pretty well. I mean, Uryu was Meteor, and Nadeshiko is Orihime and everything. So I mean, yeah, Toku fans are definitely gonna probably gonna have that kind of stuff going around in their head for a while. But like I said, the action was good. The climactic final battle with the Kingfisher was actually
I think he's supposed to be Filipino or Brazilian. No, he is Mexican Japanese. So yeah, not a Mexican Japanese person.
I was gonna say, yeah, Chad's supposed to be Mexican.
It's okay. It's just like Battle Fever.
Yeah, but like I said, the final battle with the Kingfisher I thought was damn impressive, with some really good special effects, and then obviously the final battle between our boy along with Reggie and Byakuya there. Yeah, let's just say it was a stomping, and I did love the sequel hook. I thought it was like it kind of felt like it was gonna wind up being kind of a self-contained thing just in case they didn't get a sequel. But then at the last second, there's that little hook, and I actually really like that. And not to mention, and I'm sure you're gonna mention this, but yeah, the Kurosaki sisters are adorable as shit. So In all, I thought it was a very solid, very good adaptation of source material. Definitely better than the Full Metal Alchemist movie that I felt tried to condense too much into one movie. Whereas, yeah, like you said, it's the first 8 volumes, or roughly, I think, the first... How many episodes? Like, the first, like, what was it, like 18 to 20
Probably
episodes?
like the first anywhere between 14 to 24 episodes, maybe.
I couldn't quite remember, like, how long the whatever the substitute Soul Reaper arc was in the anime, but yeah, it felt like that they definitely paced this a bit more. Like, everything just seemed to flow a bit better. Like I said, I felt the characters kind of, the actors nailed the characters. It deviated, from the source material where it had to, and I wasn't really too pissed about that, because I know a lot of people were pissed about Rukia not having the same hairstyle she did. But hey, whatever. But in all, I thought it was damn good, and I'm definitely hoping for the Soul Society arc, because that's when stuff's really going to start getting ludicrous.
Pretty much, it's the first like 18 episodes. Like the movie ends right on episode 18.
So it's not even like one Blu-ray set.
No, because I think the first Blu-ray set was like the first 20 episodes, so there was 3 episodes missed. Yeah. So, Sound Out, you, the guy who doesn't watch much anime, but now somehow like just devoured anime like it was Majin Buu with some chocolate.
Seriously though, but here's the thing: I devour anime, but only in 13 to 26 episode chunks. I do not.
Are we going back to our writer topic from Kamen Rider Build, where we have to say keep those episodes at 26 or something? Come on.
I did push for Here's the thing. I think that for me nowadays, I tend to prefer shows that are 26 episodes or less. 50 is like my tops. Anything beyond that, I struggle through. Like I struggle through Mazinger Z. Like I got like 50 episodes in, and now I haven't gotten to like do the other 50. But anyways, all that aside, I didn't watch Bleach in full. I only watched a couple episodes of the anime. I read 4 volumes of the manga, so I had a taste for this part of the actual story. And this I thought was a really good live action adaptation. With the trend of live action anime adaptations being actually good lately, it makes me really hopeful by the time we get to Tiger and Bunny and Gundam, we're going to have some really great stuff if the trend continues. And I think that this is definitely the best of the movies that have come out recently.
This is the best one since Rurouni Kenshin, I'll tell you that, like out of the Japanese market.
Yeah, and I thought Fullmetal Alchemist was pretty decent too. Like it wasn't perfect, but like I thought it was like, I was like, oh, this is a good trend. Let's keep this going and get better. Bleach was much better. The thing to say with live action anime adaptations, be less Netflix Death Note live action and be more Bleach live action. Ghost in the Shell is kind of in the same category of like Bleach quality. I haven't seen the Tokyo Ghoul live action movie. I've intended to. I just haven't gotten around to it. But I heard that was really good too. So I'm hoping this is a continual trend of we just get better at these things. So we'll see where it goes from here. But I definitely enjoy it. I thought some effects work was great. Soundtrack was amazing. But did I dream up a talking orange teddy bear from the original manga? Like, was that a fever dream?
No, that's there.
Right.
He's there. That was real. That was real.
That was
Cone is
real
real.
Okay, so that was missing from this movie, which is definitely a detriment. I think that would have been interesting if they tried. Maybe it worked out for better that they didn't.
I'm glad they didn't do Cone, but I was just upset that Orihime and Chad didn't get their powers, because I'm like, you guys had your powers, so like, how are they going to introduce it in the sequel if we get one?
I gotta say that with that, like the leaving out the talking orange teddy bear is less of an offense than Fullmetal Alchemist leaving out Scar. So I think we can live with the lack of talking teddy bear. But overall, I thought it was actually really, really well done.
All right, so my best input that I can put on it, like I said, during Soundout's moment, and I think Metal's moment, Chad Orihime kind of being regulated to background characters, it's kind of substandard to how the manga actually opens with them slightly, but then eventually progresses. I mean, we avoided the fact that Orihime's brother was turned into a hollow after his tragic accident in this, so we lose a bit of her character development, we lose a bit of the development of Chad in this, but the main focus is mostly Ichigo, Rukia, Grand Fisher, and the Soul Society, because we gotta really milk the protagonist. I think, like I said, like while Orihime and Chad did get shafted pretty badly. Uryu sort of did too, because like they just announced Uryu's there. He's just a rival group of people that the Shinigami, the Soul Reapers, have issues with, and they don't really address it too much until like him and Uryu bump into each other. Like, oh, we got to kill Grand Fisher because he's just too damn big. And like, yeah, let's get rid of this mofo together. And then they strike him down.
They hench
and then
and
and then literally Renji just shows
and...
like no because Renji just shows up and just shanks Uryu, and Uryu is just like laying on the ground like, hey Ichigo, avenge me. And then Ichigo goes like, all right, I'm gonna go drink some milk, and then like starts kicking the crap out of Renji, and then goes and fights Byakuya, and it ends almost exactly like it did in the manga, except in a different location during the daytime, which was a little bit weird, but hey, the music helped. The music helped all right.
Music.
I love the music. I love the music from Alexandrios, and I love the music from Yamada. Like I thought the music fit the movie. I mean, I was hoping that we would have had the actual regular show composer compose the live action film. I was also kind of hoping they'd just be like, hey, we'll make this movie great by actually putting in the actual insert song from Bleach, the Hazel Fernandez #1. But then they're like, no, we're gonna make you all drink some milk, and I was like, all right, fine. But it was a really good movie. It really restored my faith in anime live action films, because like when it comes to anime live action films from Japan, the only ones I've really ever liked were this one and the Rurouni Kenshin trilogy. And I would say the first half of the Death Note films, like the first, like when you just look at Death Note 1 and Death Note the last name, I liked Death Note 1. I haven't seen fully Light Up the New World yet, but I heard it was a great original film based on the first live action movies. So I'm going to take that with a grain of salt and watch that. And I'm going to go watch Tokyo Ghoul because my boy Keita, isn't it? Yeah, my boy from Keita, Sosakon 7, he's all grown up.
We should watch Tokyo Ghoul together.
We'll watch Tokyo Ghoul together if we can find like a place to watch it.
So like, would you recommend the Bleach movie for Bleach fans?
Oh no, I would. Like, there are so many people that I see kind of shitting on it, but there's a lot of other people who like are casual Toonami fans, Adult Swim fans, Bleach fans, and Kamen Rider fans that are like, oh, it's actually like if you rate it on a 5-star scale, it's like a 3.5 to like a 4.5 for a lot of fans. Like I've seen a lot of people really happy with it. Some people are saying, oh, it's only like a 3. Others are saying like it's above the 3. Like it's in that standard where I rarely have seen below the 3. Only like real salty mofos are giving it like 2.5s and 1s. Like really weird, niche-y people are really trashing it. But a lot of the general people that I associate with are like they're just clapping. Like it's just claps everywhere. Joy. So I think it's one of the most reserved films since Rurouni Kenshin.
So you'd also recommend it to non-Bleach fans?
I would. I think I could. It's one of those ones where, hey, if you don't read the manga, you don't see the anime, you haven't done any of that, go watch this film and tell me what you think. You might even enjoy
it more because you're not worried about like comparing it to the source material.
Yeah, because like when it comes to anime movies in like say America, I actually did think the Death Note film was a different take and a good take. Like it wasn't the greatest when you compare it to Death Note, like entirely, but I felt like it was original. Ghost in the Shell was very respectable, as well as Speed Racer, but Speed Racer was more not Mach Go Go,
Speed
but
Racer's still
Speed
like
Racer
the greatest
dub.
anime adaptation.
Yeah, like Speed Racer and Ghost in the Shell are
Justice.
some of the best. No, that's the one thing we agree with Keith Justice on, which is rare. We rarely agree with that guy.
It really is. It's like when you break it down, like Speed Racer, the movie didn't really tell a different story than the anime, but it kind of like told its own version of the anime, and it also like out of all of these things, its visuals are very anime-like because it's incredibly bright colors, incredibly fast motion, a lot of motion blur, and just this overall like sense of wow, it respects its source material really well, but also tries to do something that isn't seen. It's not trying to take the anime and make it into an American Hollywood movie. It's making an American Hollywood movie that is an anime.
All right, so before I want to wrap up, there's one last thing I want to say for everyone, and that is you should also, if you really do love anime and you really love live-action adaptations, watch the American Fist of the North Star film. Go in there with no expectations. Go in there with a lot of weed. Go in there with a lot of munchies. and laugh your ass off, because you're either going to think it's good and bad at the same time, because it's one of those ones where when I watched it, I said to myself, man, this is a cool movie. It feels like it's like an anime. Like, this was me as a kid. I didn't know Fist of the North Star entirely at the time. I was like, man, this feels like it's a poor 80s 90s take on an anime. Or it was like, you know, a parody of Mad Max mixed with like anime themes. Then I'm like, oh shit, it actually is an anime. And then I went and watched Fist of the North Star and was like, oh, this is actually really cool stuff. Yeah.
So you're saying that there's hope for the Keanu Reeves Cowboy Bebop?
I don't think that's ever happening.
It's
It should
never happening.
Come on.
They just
No, it
lost
should.
the rights,
It
like, a
should,
month
but it's
ago.
just like it's just too
Make
old
it
now.
John Wick. Make it John Wick Bebop.
No, it's just gonna be John Bebop
Oh, John Bebop.
or Spike Wick.
Or Wicked Bebop.
The problem is
Yes, Wicked
Cowboy-
Bebop.
So Wicked
Cowboy
Hardcore
Bebop
Bebop.
is an ensemble cast, and Keanu Reeves is not an ensemble kind of guy.
Yeah, he is. You take that back, you damn dirty bastard. We may co-host the show together, but that's a line too far.
Well, you know what? It doesn't matter because it's not happening.
It doesn't even matter.
I try so hard. Not so far.
But in the end, though, I want to wrap up the show now.
Just get Keanu Reeves for the Tiger and Bunny movie.
Yes.
All right, now I'm gonna wrap up the show though. So we've gone on practically a little over 90 minutes, but with, you know, post editing and yada 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 and production, we're probably gonna be a little under 90 minutes. So I'm your host, Wheelchair21. I was joined by Visible Ninja or Metal Ninja, Gender Joker, Soundout 12. Our contact, our links and contacts are in the description below. But for Hero Club, you know how to follow us. Hero Club for Life on social media. Hero-Club.com for the official website. And we'll see you all next week with an all-new episode of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu, episode 60. Hey, it's Wheelchair21, and thanks again for listening to an all-new episode of Los Ingobernables de Tokusatsu. If you want to hear more content or see more content from the Hero Club YouTube channel, we're going to need you to subscribe, like, comment with some feedback, and share this channel with a friend. We also would like you to check out our website, hero-club.com, and follow us on various social media outlets just by looking up Hero Club for Life, as well as the stores you see are where we shop. Anyways, thanks again, and we'll see you all next time.